Welcome to Life, Lessons, and Legacy, the podcast where we delve into the stories that shape our lives and the lessons we carry forward. I'm your host, Cedric D. Nelson, and I'm excited to embark on this journey of discovery, growth, and inspiration with you. Each episode will explore the triumphs, challenges, and pivotal moments that define who we are and who we aspire to be. From personal stories to enlightening conversations with guests from all walks of life, we'll uncover the wisdom, insights, and perspectives that illuminate the path to a meaningful existence. Whether you're seeking motivation, guidance, or simply a moment of reflection, Life, Lessons, and Legacy is here to accompany you on your quest for fulfillment and purpose. So sit back, open your mind, and let's embark on this transformative journey together. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Life, Lessons, and Legacy podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Cedric D. Nelson, and today I'm honored to have the guest, Mr. John Cooke. John, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Cedric. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. I am honored for you to be on the podcast.
Hey, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to see you.
Same here, brother. Same here. All right. We'll get it started and we'll kind of talk about how we know each other and everything as we go. But so just to get started, so the listeners know who you are, can you give me a little bit about your background, where are you from, and etc.?
Sure. My name is John Cooke. I'm from Oxford, Mississippi. I was born and raised in Oxford, Mississippi. Lived in New Orleans for a long time. Yeah, honestly, just kind of bounced around, for a long time. One reason we're talking is I made a Facebook post about how I haven't drank alcohol in 11 years. And it was funny to me because I was like, it kind of not blew up, but like for me, I don't mess with Facebook a lot. I don't have a lot of friends. But 100 and something people were like, man, we're real glad to hear John doesn't drink anymore. Like,
wow.
That's good. They wouldn't be doing that if I didn't ever have an issue.
Right.
So that's what I also, too, when I saw, it's like, what's your career path has been? I mean, it's been rocky, just because I spent a long time pretty much drinking and getting high and not really doing much careering,
Gotcha.
I wasn't really out there doing much, other than that. So
Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, it's kind of turned around over the last decade. So
yeah,
thankfully,
Yeah, that's one reason why, like I said, I gave you congratulations. And I was like, let me check on him. And I want everyone to hear your story because, I will say in my family, we'll talk about the career stuff. And, of course, I got this list of questions to ask. But in my family, there's a lot of alcoholism and drug abuse. And I tell people, like, you don't necessarily have to be a product of your environment, but also I saw what it did to my family growing up. And I was like, man, I'm not saying I was afraid of, but seeing how addiction affected them, I was like, okay, well, like I said, get to know yourself. I'm like, okay, I don't drink often or whatever, but I can see how, this could be a problem for me, so that's why I want to hear your story about, you say 11 years sober, man. That's awesome,
Sure. Well, I always fall short of saying I'm 11 years sober because I actually quit drinking 11 years ago because I got addicted to painkillers 12 years ago.
Okay.
12 years ago when I was really, because I used to play soccer and basketball, and I blew my shoulder out when I was 19 and had to have reconstructive shoulder surgery. And man, I got on painkillers then, but not like really bad.
Right.
But the one reason I quit drinking was because I didn't want to overdose in my sleep because I was taking painkillers. And now it's been a long time. I quit a couple of years after, 6-7 years since I quit that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why, because I had somebody because once a year, I don't really talk about it a lot. Like once a year, I'll go on there and be like, it's been another year. I made another year of not doing this thing to myself. Yeah, a friend of mine was like, yeah, well, congratulations on your sobriety. And I was like, man, slow down. Let's, I appreciate that. And there are still things like, I don't get drunk or lose control and get high or anything like that. But I still struggle with things like smoking cigarettes. I still do that, unfortunately.
Okay.
Food, like I really try not. I eat too much sugar. Stuff I know that I shouldn't do that I still do, which isn't, at least I quit anything that's really going to take me out, instantly.
Right.
Because alcohol, painkillers, they can kill you that day,
Yeah.
I'd have to eat a lot of cake to die, to OD on chocolate, but yeah, it's still interesting how, knowing what I know, that I'll still do things. I look down at my hands and see food in my hands and I'm like, man, you shouldn't eat that, but I was,
Yeah.
but I don't know. That's not too big of a deal. I don't think anybody would freak out about that, but I still watch out, or watch the language that
Yeah.
so, but yeah, no, I'm still proud of myself for.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
It's been a lot of twists and turns with it.
That's well, I was thinking, some of myself would I just knowing myself, like you said, I as I've gotten older, even when I was younger, I don't know, like you said, we know ourselves best, if that makes sense. Like you talking about like, okay, like not no more, hard drugs or alcohol, but then like say you yourself well enough, okay, well, but I'm still over here eating something I shouldn't be eating, or I'm still smoking or whatever. And like that's me. I'm kind of like, okay, I know myself. I know I can start here and very easily end up back wherever I was, whatever I had going on. So I try to avoid those things. That's why I think your story is so interesting, because like you say, it's still a work in progress. Like I think our whole lives we're always working on trying to be the best version of ourselves. And it's not always easy.
Oh no. Almost every day something else will happen that I've got to look at and say, why am I doing this, or why am I doing, like, the hard work never stops, basically.
Right.
So every day I look at it, there's something that happens where I'm like, oh, now I gotta look at this now too. There's never not gonna be something that's happening that isn't a teachable moment for myself. And you always know what to do.
Right.
Even if I was drinking, and I didn't really even, I always say I wasn't an alcoholic. I was just being kind of a jerk. I know some alcoholics. Like, I didn't drink every day. I didn't drink.
Right.
But, I did abuse it when I did drink, and that was probably once or twice a week, which is still carving days out of your life,
Yeah.
with the hangover and just feeling terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I knew then what I needed to do to stop doing what I was doing, or to improve my life. I just wasn't prepared to do it.
Gotcha.
Because it just looked too much. It looked like too much hard work. And yeah, it's hard to really want to you get comfortable.
Yeah.
And getting high, same thing. You get comfortable doing it. Because if you're drinking, then that means there ain't anything bad happening in that moment. If you're high, then you're just high. You're not worried about anything else. There's nothing bad happening, like all that stuff comes the next day or whatever, like it'll get you. But yeah, man.
Yeah. So the next day, I think that's when it kind of hits, I guess, like everything that you numbed yourself to the next day, is that when kind of like, it's like it comes back, I guess?
Yeah, and then you gotta do it again.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And the feeling never goes away. You just, I do now understand when people say that you're trying to numb something or numb the pain or whatever. Like, I didn't get that for a long time, really. Well, I don't know what they're talking about. Past that. Forget that. But yeah, there was just so much stuff I didn't want to confront or think about. And man, I did that for 20 years. I ran from stuff for a long time, but yeah, they gets to, I'm glad I finally, stopped and said, all right, I need to figure this out, I'm kind of glad. Sometimes I'm not so glad.
So sometimes you're not.
Man, no, because it's so hard. It really, really is hard. And now that I've kind of zoomed out and I'm aware of the things that I'm doing and how they affect myself and affect other people, everything has an effect.
It does.
Everything you do, everything you say, all that stuff does matter. But it just, you might feel insignificant, but nobody really is, I don't think. But then when I really looked at myself and I looked at the things that I was doing, like the music I was listening to, the stuff I watch on TV, when I really looked at that, I'm like, damn, that's crazy. Just how important even just the most micro thing seems to be is how you wake up, exercise, doing uncomfortable things, making yourself uncomfortable to reach a better version of yourself. It's a hard thing to do. That's like, I don't know if you've ever done yoga or whatever. But man, it's so uncomfortable. But that's the point. You got to tell your brain that you're going to do it. You're going to go through this discomfort to help yourself after this is done.
Benefits,
Yeah. So, being able to have a better relationship with yourself, but like, yeah, your brain, your thoughts, and that you do control those to a certain extent.
Yeah.
You know, you're gonna have 60,000 thoughts a day, I think they say.
Wow. I believe it.
And they, you know, you can have 50,000 terrible thoughts or 50,000 decent thoughts. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a choice, but it's something you got to train yourself to do.
Yeah.
And I still struggle to do that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like you said, I was talking about, talking about the struggle. I did a Spartan run one time, and the same thing to my yoga, whatever. It's like, it was, the training was worse than the actual event. But you're going through the training so that you can actually get to the event and be like, okay, I'm not going to kill myself out here. But that's the same thing. I was talking about my book, you talking about like perspective, the same thing. That perspective, that switch to flip, and it's like, okay, I am significant. Like, I do mean something to somebody. Because I tell people, like, everyone has somebody that's looking up to them. No matter if you think so or not, it's always somebody that's like, they found something positive in you, whether it's somebody at a work site or if it's your spouse or whatever. And you were talking about like how hard it is. I tell people, as a man, a lot of times it's just a hard job. It's like, as a husband, as a father, a lot of times it's a thankless job. I don't get thank yous. I don't necessarily expect them either, but it's a thankless job. It's like, it's hard, it's difficult. It's usually nobody to turn to when you're having problems but yourself. But like you say, we just go through it and try to control those thoughts, because like you say, man, your mind can be like your best friend or your worst enemy.
Yeah.
Because you get in a dark place and it's like your mind's just constantly negative, constantly negative. That's why I try to work out now, because it's like it's a win for today. Like, I get up, make the bed up, that's one win. I try to go to work, I try to eat somewhat healthy, and I try to end my day with either a walk, jog, or working out, because I need to get those wins so I can feel like I did something today. Just that positivity. So
yeah, I mean, I work out every day, and it's and I tell people, like, I don't want to. I'm not, man. I am looking forward to this.
right.
I'm not that guy. You play football, right?
Mm-hmm.
At Oxford, like,
Mm-hmm.
I played soccer, and I think Coach Carter, I think he was the strength and conditioning coach for the football team.
Yeah,
and he was a soccer coach, and I don't think he knew anything about soccer.
I don't either. Or wait.
We were the fittest team. I mean, we were the best. We were the most in shape team in Mississippi. Just because it was brutal, man. He really was brutal in those practices, and but I mean, we were really good.
Yeah.
He was. Yeah, I mean, he knew how to, and not having a coach screaming in your ear to do it. You don't need that,
right.
It doesn't hurt, but maybe it hurts a little, but he hurt a little.
Right.
But yeah, man, you can do it, so do it, and just don't quit. Like, because I want to quit halfway through almost every time I do it for years now, and like I don't, I have to tell myself to shut up
and keep going.
You're not going to quit, so just shut up. You're not going to quit, so shut up. So yeah, man, it's just being able to talk to yourself that way.
Yeah, I think, and I tell people all the time, I don't know, not all kids are athletic, but I'm like, all kids should at least play some sport. I don't care if it's table tennis. You need to play something, because like you just said about Coach Carter pushing you, Coach Horton was that for me. Coach Horton, Coach Smith, Coach Youngblood, Coach Terry, Coach Malata. Those guys pushed me. I ran, played football, I ran track, played a little basketball. So, but those guys always pushed me. So like you said, when you're working out now, they pop in your mind like, if he was here, I wouldn't be stopping. So let me just keep going, because I wouldn't want to deal with the repercussions of stopping. Because I thought about trying out for the soccer team. I had never played. I was like, I'm fast, I'll go play soccer. I ended up deciding to just stick with track. But like you say, it's something about playing sports in high school or college or whatever that it pushes you, because it's like, even me and I don't know if you remember Jason Taylor. Jason is up here now, and we work out together. And when I work out by myself, it's a great workout. But when I'm working out with Jason, it's 10 times better, because it's somebody telling me, man, you're not tired. Push those weights, run, dude. You just need that reminder from high school that you are usually better than you give yourself credit for. Just don't stop. It's not that tough. So
yeah, I mean, you got to lean into it. And I wish I'd have known that back in high school, instead of like doing your best to not work as hard as you can. Lean into it more, then it'll be easier over time. Like, if you don't resist that pain, that feeling of wanting to throw up and stop. Our soccer tryouts, man, there were, I don't know how many people threw up and just walked off and got in their cars and drove home. Like,
Really?
a bunch of kids, man. There was a bunch of them. And maybe 4 or 5 that they just stopped in the middle of the tryouts and they just walked off the field, man. They got in their cars and drove home because it was that bad, you know.
It's the weed now process. Yeah. Like you can't make the team. Go and get out of here. Yeah.
And I know I wasn't gonna be that guy. And no disrespect to any of those guys. If you don't really want it,
Right.
if you don't really want to be on the team, then yeah, I don't blame you, because to go through all that for something you don't really want to do. I mean, yeah, I don't do that, but but yeah, it was that serious, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just tell yourself, if that guy can do it, I can do it.
Right.
There's nothing physically wrong with me. There's nothing mentally wrong with me. And there were some guys on that team that were, and they were in such good shape. They were way better shape. I knew that if I could do it, if they could do it, then I'll you know.
Right.
And here I am. So
quick question, and it's not one of my questions, but I think when we were in high school, I think you guys were winning state. Am I correct? You guys won state in soccer while I was there?
The year before I was in French camp. Then when I got out, they had won state the year before.
Okay, gotcha.
We went to the state finals.
Okay,
but we lost against I think it was Jackson St. Joe. We lost it, which was rough. But
yeah. So what's your fun? Well, my question was, what's your fondest memory about being on the soccer team?
Oh, that's a good question. I kind of kept to myself a lot. I mean, man, I really cannot. I hate to tell a bad story. I know there was one time, like I was on the team with a really good friend of mine. His name was Denby Garrison. I don't know if you remember him.
I remember him.
He had never played soccer either, but he was, yeah, as far as athletes go, like he was, I mean, just naturally gifted as far as speed, but he's really strong. But they had, before our first playoff game, he had a party at his house, like his mom was out of town. And I saw him, and he was drinking a lot. He was a grade below me. He was drinking a lot. I was like, man, you might want to not do that, man. Like, if I'm telling you that, that's bad. And he kept going. He got really drunk. Now, you remember Caesar. He was a foreign exchange student from Brazil. Caesar.
What was his name?
I just remember his name was Caesar.
Oh, yeah, I know Caesar. Yeah. I forgot his last name, but yeah, I know Caesar. Yeah.
And that guy was incredible. I don't know what happened to him, but I mean, I'm sure he went on to play somewhere else. But the next morning, I felt fine because I was like, I did the right thing for once and went home. But yeah, Denby, he started throwing up and it went through up. There was like a ditch next to the field, team fields. And we had to take a team picture. And Denby standing and Caesar's kneeled down. And you can see it on the pic, like to this day. I mean, I know. Yeah. He was about to vomit all over Caesar, but he didn't. I hate to say one of my fondest memories, but it was, and just being on the team, man. Like, because everybody there, that was the thing about Oxford High School that really tripped me out, coming from French camp, which was a kind of a hostile, or could be a very hostile environment, and there was a fight like almost every other day. I mean, we were there. We weren't there because we won a scholarship. Right. Like we didn't win an award and we got sent to French camp. Right. But coming from there, I was like, man, Oxford High School was so chill. Everyone really genuinely seemed to get along and like each other, which blew my mind. Really? Yeah. I mean, I just never gone to school there. My brother had actually went to school there and got kicked out back in the 80s. He was like 8-9 years older than me. Yeah. But if you ever remember the movie Lean on Me, in the very beginning when they're showing the school and they're like, welcome to the jungle, and like, I was like, man, it's going to be wild in there. Like, I mean, I wasn't totally worried about it because it's been, but I was like, man, this could be crazy. But then when I got there, it was everybody. It would really trip me out, man. And I would say it's about Oxford. It was like a melting pot. Like everybody got along with everybody. Jocks got along with the nerds, with the brainy kids, with the band kids, with like football and soccer got along track. Like everyone just like, I mean, we did have fights, but for the most part, everyone got along with everybody. It didn't matter race, nothing mattered. It was just like everybody's like, hey, how you doing today? And everybody just hung out. It was cool. Yeah. I mean, and we had some good teachers. I thought it was a really yeah, as far as I don't know about the rest of the state of Mississippi, but it's not known for its education, unfortunately. But yeah, I thought Oxford High School was great.
Yeah.
Dr. McClellan, she was great.
Oh yeah, yeah. Miss yeah. And all of back then, all the kids had a crush on Miss McClellan or Dr. McClellan. Back then, you're like, oh man, So it was yeah. As a kid, it was cool, man. It was some of my fondest memories, I guess I would say. Some people say they had bad high school experiences, but I can't say that. I had a great time, like I said, playing sports, just hanging out, and like I said, I was never in trouble, and I never got in trouble, anything like that. But it was the way high school should be. It's not like it is here in Memphis. It's not like a Memphis high school. Yeah, it's like.
Yeah, I can imagine, man.
Oh, no, me neither. My kids went to school here, and I'm like, yeah, I'm glad they're out because Memphis is, yeah, that's a whole nother story, but it's different.
Yeah. And it can be what you make of it. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but yeah, Oxford High School, man. I thought it was a great place to be. I felt a lot more at ease. Yeah, it didn't take me long.
Right.
When I got out of French camp, I was like, I want to be left alone. Because I don't want to go back.
Right.
But it's funny how reality works or life works, that when you don't want something and you try to avoid something, you run smack dab into it. And people would not leave me alone. Like a lot of friends that I ended up having stuff that they just wouldn't leave me alone. I don't know if you ever knew JD Davis.
Yeah, I know JD. Yeah, I know you're talking about. Well, I knew. Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's passed away.
Yeah, I knew JD. Yeah.
But he would not. He was the most annoying guy because he just wouldn't leave me alone, man. I was like, why does this guy keep messing with me?
Right.
Like, man, I think they probably just think you're cool, man. Like, lean into it. So I was like, all right,
So I'll go on fool with him, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll quit being so serious,
Yeah. But yeah, I told you, I think when we talked, I told you my sister-in-law went to French camp. But now here's the other thing. I didn't know what French camp really was. I just knew that she was going there. And at the time when I met my wife, we would go and pick her up on the weekends. And she was, mild-mannered child. She never had any problems. So I didn't even know what French camp was like. She was talking about her teacher and, we'll pick her up and she'd give her ice cream and candy. And so we never, even you and I talking, I never knew exactly what it was, put it that way. I just knew she went to French camp. I thought it was like a private school. I didn't know, I was like, oh, okay.
So, yeah, it is. I mean, and in some ways it was great,
Yeah.
It was a good experience. In some ways not,
Right.
I mean, they're strict.
Yeah, sure. I do remember her saying that, like, boom, 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 like no nonsense strict. Like, this is what it is.
Yep. You work a lot, the whole lot. Like I hauled pulpwood for 3 years. That was basically being a lumberjack.
Really?
And we cut down trees, cut them up 6-foot sections, put them on a truck, and then they would go sell them.
While at French camp.
What's that?
That's at French camp?
No, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's again, I didn't know. Yeah. Wow.
We made sorghum molasses. That was another thing. That was another job that I did. We made sorghum molasses. Like we grew it, we cut it down, we cooked it, packaged it, the whole thing. And it was good. It was delicious too.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, it's natural. Yeah, it's not like what you get nowadays. Yeah, it's actually, actually good for you. Yeah.
They still sell it. They still do that. It's still there. That's still there for like 200 years. Yeah. Yeah.
Did not know that.
Yeah, it's been there a long, long, long time. Now, I think, this is just my theory, because I do have kind of friction with them. Like, I'm not their biggest fan.
Right. You're not advocating for them.
There are some people, there are some staff members there. I still, to this day, like, we're cool, there are some really good people there. So they weren't all bad,
Right.
But when you put a group of humans together, unfortunately, you're going to get some that don't have our best interest. Yeah. But yeah, man, it was a wild place, man. So, but those were good things to learn,
Yeah.
How to do.
Yeah, definitely some skills.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So, okay, I got a question. I'll get off track and we talking forever. So, what goals do you have coming up, personal and professional, right now?
Mainly my goals are always centered around personal development. Okay. Right now, after COVID, that really kind of shook me up too. So it's like a lot of my goals are just centered around like improving myself, exercise, mental health, things like that. I think that'll just kind of work itself out. Like, I like where I'm at now. It's, but I'm not really a big career goal guy,
Gotcha.
maybe one day, hopefully one day,
Yeah.
but I like where I'm at, man,
Mhm.
so it's like, I kind of feel like I've already reached my goals,
Okay.
it's funny. Yeah. Like a couple of days ago, somebody asked me kind of a similar question, and I was like, I don't know, but I am starting to get bored because everything's so easy,
Mhm.
right now for me.
Mhm.
I don't really have I have no drama, and
That's a blessing.
yeah, it is. But then sometimes after a while, you kind of miss,
The
having
drum.
drama going on,
Yeah.
just not like too bad,
Yeah.
going to jail or anything like that. And I feel just fortunate to be here,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I lived pretty wild for, 15, 20 years to where, again, I'm super pumped to just wake up every day,
Right.
and like at my job, and people get annoyed with me, when they'll be like, "How are you doing?" Like, I'm great. I'm like, I don't have to go to work. I get to, and
Right.
they're all just like rolling their eyes, and I'm like, man, I'm not joking. Like I
Right.
get to get up and go to work
Yeah.
and do that, man. So I think if I keep with that attitude and that stays up, then everything will
Mhm.
kind of take care of itself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
who knows?
John, I think that's one of those things, like the positive perspective, and like people will get frustrated with you about it, but it's because they don't have it. And like I'm trying to tell you, like if you think the way you think, like I'm blessed. I'm happy that I get a chance to go to work. It
Right.
changes everything. Then man, it's 8 o'clock. Here we go again. It's like nobody wants to doom and gloom every day. And yeah.
Yeah.
One more thing I didn't ask you. What is your career? What do you do? I know you said you.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I do have the property company that I own and operate, but it's small.
Okay.
Basically, just buy houses and rent them out. I'll
Okay.
buy, rent them out, and then I work in finance for a corporation. We do airline. Like if your flight gets canceled and
Hmm.
you get a hotel room, and the airline has to get you food and stuff like that. We kind of facilitate those transactions. Then I make sure everyone gets paid that's supposed to get paid and
That
things like
helps.
that. So yeah,
Yeah.
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 It's
Yeah.
real boring, man. Like, but again, man, my coworker's great.
Hmm.
Like I've never get into any kind of like back when I used to have issues with alcohol and drugs.
Hmm.
Every job I ever had, I was always arguing with
Hmm.
people. I always had a terrible boss, and he was always,
Hmm.
he or she was always giving me a hard time. And it's
Right.
not like those things weren't true, but I was there for it. And I
Right.
didn't. I always thought it was just like, why is everybody always picking on John? I don't understand,
Hmm.
But I never really got that. It's like, well, that's because you're kind of inviting those people into your life.
Right.
You're those terrible jobs into your life
Hmm.
by your just way of being.
Right.
And it's kind of hard to explain that, but now that I've kind of dropped all the resistance, and to like not, it's good to have goals,
Hmm.
but it's not good to live in the future. Like I've known people that are like, I can only be happy until I'll be happy once I get that job,
Oh
once
no.
I get that thing.
Yeah.
And then when they get it, they're like maybe happy for a couple minutes, or maybe a day or a month or
Yep.
whatever. Like I got a new car, and somebody was like, "Man, what do you think about your new car?" I mean, I'm happy that I got one. Don't get me wrong, but like,
Right.
it was never. I'm not like
Hmm.
now. I'm cool.
Right.
Now people will be now. Yeah, all the ladies will be like, "Oh, I'm gonna go shop now."
Right.
No, and like, or maybe I don't know. That would be great. But yeah, you just kind of lose when you finally get a goal. If you didn't have fun along the way, man, you're probably gonna be not too happy with
Yeah.
what
Be
you end up.
miserable.
Even if it's everything you ever wanted, you'll
Yeah.
still,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, and I think that's what happens a lot of times. People, like, we don't slow down and enjoy the moment. Like, just going for a walk or just talking to a loved one. Like we all, well, I'm not saying we all, because I'm like you. Like, I do this stuff, write the books, I try to build on my legacy and all that. That stuff I want to pursue, not necessarily for myself, it's for my next generation. So when I leave, I can leave something behind for them. But I'm like you, like I work for myself, and I'm not saying I'm not career driven,
oh,
but yeah, but getting like a new car or a new watch or a new, like, that stuff doesn't do it for me. Like you say, I'm more so invested in people, like helping someone change their perspective, helping someone change their life, or like you say, because I think if you spend your whole life chasing career goals, you're gonna be, like you say, you're miserable when you do get it. It's like, okay, I got that. Now what's next? It's like it's never ending story, and you just still feel empty.
Yeah. Yeah. And kind of having a what's next mentality. It's not a bad thing, like it's just kind of like, I just wouldn't put it's not everything,
Right.
like, I mean, nothing's going to make you happy if it comes from within. I mean, that it sounds cheesy or whatever, but
It's true.
but it's for real, like I'm coming to find that the older I get, that it's, oh wow, like now I know. And I feel bad for some young people too, because you can't explain it to them because it's such an abstract thing.
Yeah.
About being right with yourself, being able to forgive yourself and things like that. And it's just like, man, it's so hard. I mean, it's hard to put into words. It's something you have to experience. You have to get that life experience.
Yeah.
And some kids already have it. Like I've met young people that like they just kind of already get it.
Yeah.
Where it's like, and then some kids just don't. I was definitely one of those kids that just didn't get it, on time. So
yeah,
better late than never, man.
Yeah. And I think sometimes it just takes experience. Well, one of the reasons why I'm writing a book and this podcast is to try to help the younger generation get those experiences, like the life lessons. We'll cover life lessons and all that stuff in a little while. But like I said, some of the stuff we don't get until we're older. And if we have someone older or quote unquote elder to tell us that, at least it opens our mind up to the fact that like you say, I guess called self-happiness, because when you talk about like social media and stuff, if you're on social media, you think you should not be happy unless you're like a millionaire, you have this huge house, this nice car, this amazing looking woman. And you start realizing like all this stuff is empty. Because you can have all that stuff. You can be best looking person in the world and still not be okay with yourself, and you're miserable, because it's still there,
Yeah. I was an asset manager for this guy here in Lexington when I first moved here.
Okay.
And he owns about like probably a fourth of all the property in this area.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I've always compared him. He's the Lexington Donald Trump.
Gotcha.
He also acts like him. He talks like him. They're very similar people.
Yeah.
But like, so he has 3 children and an ex-wife, and he's got 50 houses in a trust for each of them. So 200 single family homes that were scattered all over.
Wow.
Lexington and different counties around the area. 200 houses, that's, 50 for each child and all that. And, the guy just didn't ever strike me as a very like happy dude,
Right.
And always worried. And I understand this is business, like I get it. He's thrown it. I mean, he's kind of like the guy Donald Trump wishes he was, because he actually did do all of it on his own.
Right.
Like he grew up, I mean, in a really kind of poor situation. Yeah, he's got like 8 siblings. So he's a tough dude. I have a lot of respect for him.
Yeah.
But he was always worried about his money. And it's like, man, you got so much money. What are you worried about?
Right.
That's always in my head. I'm like, this guy's so much, like, what is he worried about?
Right.
But like, you get mad, like super pissed about just like silly stuff. And you're just like, man, I mean, you think you'd be more chill than that when you have all that. But I know that's not how it works. Like I get it. The more you have, the more you're worried about losing,
Yeah.
But I heard this guy one time say that life isn't about how much you can get, it's about how much you can live without. And like, because once you know how to live without, then whatever you get is just kind of gravy. But like, you're not like, and I don't want to lose all my money.
Right.
I've spent some years, building up what I have. I don't want to lose that. But I know if I did, I would be okay.
I could survive.
Because I know how to dig a ditch. I know how to bartend. I know how to. My first job was Burger King. I don't want to go back and work at Burger King
but I can.
It was a terrible job, but I remember exactly what goes on a Whopper. I know how to do all. I mean, I could go in there to this day and work the kitchen, but like I don't. Like I said, I don't want to do that.
Right.
But I'm not. I'm not going to say that if that happened, I wouldn't like cry by myself in the bathtub for a couple of days, but I'd be able to pick myself up.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
were just born that way and then you got tossed out in the streets, you wouldn't
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, I agree. I tell people all the time, I come from very humble beginnings. And the blessing part of that is it takes a lot to shake me. I'm like you,
Yeah.
like whatever happens, I'm like, I've been through worse. Like I can eat today. Like I've been through times, growing up where it's like there's nothing in the fridge, like literally nothing in the fridge. So I'm like, okay, I got a roof on my head, I have some shoes on my feet, I got $2 or $3, like I'm like you're saying, if I may not want to dig a ditch. I'm at an age now where it might hurt to dig a ditch, honestly.
Man.
But
Yeah.
but I can. Whatever I need to do, I can. And like you said, I think if you grow up without that, if you've never known the struggle, then you maybe end up want to hurt yourself. But once you've been through the struggle, it's kind of like, okay. I mean, this sucks, it's a bad. But you also realize when you've been through the struggle, you realize that even if you go through it again, it's temporary. Like I can do this now, and eventually I can build myself back up to whatever. So
Right. And hey, some of the happiest I ever was when I was broke. When
you and I
I
both.
was so broke when I lived in Memphis. But man, I mean, I didn't really have that much to worry about.
Right.
Like my
Yeah.
old boss. I mean, I'll bag on the guy, but like, I get why he's got a lot of stuff to worry about. I mean, there's a lot of stuff running through his brain.
Yeah.
That 60,000 thoughts a day goes up to 120.
Yeah.
And you've got millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars to worry about.
Yeah.
So I get that, how that could kind of change a person,
Yeah.
not for the better,
Right. Well, John, my buddy was having, and we'll go to the next question, but me and my buddy were having a conversation about when do you know it's enough? You know what I'm saying? Because like for you and I both, like we want to be, not necessarily well, I want to be well off. I want to not have to worry about finances, but like when does it get to be, okay, I have $250,000 in the bank and I'm debt free. Like, okay, now I need to go and try to make it to 500,000. Like at some point in time, it's just about quality of life. Like me having $1 million versus 2 million. I mean, you want to be comfortable, but I'm not spending a lot of money anyway. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I guess I would say I'm at a point now where I choose peace over being like ultra wealthy. I'm sure it comes with its perks too, but like I just want a quality of life. Put it that way. I don't want to be stressed out about I have $1 million and I got another 2 million tied up in whatever, and if Bitcoin goes belly up, I'm back down to $1 million. I still got $1 million. So yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's crazy, man. I mean, and I've said that before. Like most rich people, like I'll always have something they'll never have, and that's enough. Like, I have enough. Like I'm cool.
Yeah, that's it.
That's why it's like, I might sound unambitious, about my career or whatever, but it's like, man, I got enough, man.
Yeah.
Like I'm cool, like just as long as I can take care of my dogs, and I don't have kids, but I don't, I don't want all that because my old boss, like I see how hard cats have to work to maintain what they have, and it's like, and to grow it. They're so worried about growth too, but they work all the time, man. Like they've got no life really.
Yeah, what kind of quality of life is that?
Very uncool people.
Yeah.
They have terrible taste in music, it's like, man, they're boring as shit, they can afford, like, somebody said that they were like, my old boss, they were like, he took his chopper to a Rolling Stones concert in Vegas, so he's not gonna be in the office today. And I'm like, man, I can see that guy going to a concert, having fun. Like, I don't know.
He doesn't have fun. He doesn't have fun.
I wouldn't go with him because it's no fun, man. I don't know, but
but I do get that. Like I said, I get. We'll move on, but I do get it's like you said, quality of life. It's like when you have enough, you have enough. Like, and then plus you realize that you can't take it with you, and you're more stressed out about what's gonna happen when you die. But when you die, somebody else is gonna take this wealth, and you may be an afterthought. I see it all the time. Like I dabble a little in real estate too, and I see deals that like somebody worked their whole life for, and then they pass away, and the family's like, I don't care, give me 10,000 for it, whatever it is. You're like, this person worked their whole life for it, So
I actually I bought a house last year from a family who they were from Columbus, Mississippi.
Okay.
But they had their mother lived in Richmond, Kentucky, which is about 15, 20 minutes from Lexington. And I didn't know this, but at the closing, when I was buying the house from them, we just got to talking and I found out they're from Columbus, from Mississippi. I'm like, well, I'm from Oxford,
Right.
It was really nuts, man. It's just kind of really a coincidence, but yeah, I mean, that lady lived in that house for 50 years or something. But I get it. They live in Mississippi. They so they got to sell the house.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of glad I bought it,
Right.
Like I really try to do people right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I try to keep the rent low and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
But yeah, man,
good karma though. I tell people, you put good into the world, you get good back. If I put bad out, I'm gonna get back, bad. So it's definitely good that, you try to do the right thing, try to do right for people. I'm the same way. I try to, I have 2 kids too. So I try to do as much good in the world as I can. And hopefully some of that good will, shower back to them because, I definitely believe in karma. So thank you for joining me on this episode of Life, Lessons, and Legacy. I hope you found our discussion thought-provoking and inspiring. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. Your feedback helps us to improve and reach more listeners like you. Remember, life is a journey of growth and discovery, and every experience, both the highs and the lows, contributes to the legacy we leave behind. So embrace each moment, cherish the lessons, and live with purpose. Until next time, I'm Cedric D. Nelson. You can find more resources, including my book, Life, Lessons, and Legacy: How to Take Life's Lessons and Shape Your Legacy. Available for purchase on my website at www.lifelessonsandlegacy.com. Also available on Amazon.com. On my website, you'll also discover information about my life coaching services and speaking engagements designed to help you unlock your full potential and live a life full of purpose. Until next time, take care, and I'll see you soon.